So hello internet, welcome back to our Cataclysm Escapee, Prison Escapee series, and yeah, we're just gonna jump back into the game. We are still on Altica, which is a good sign. We're in pretty okay health. Our torso could use a little repair. We've been exploring the town basically every episode for the last conceivable recollection. So it's been a lot of looting. And I hate to say it because I know people don't like watching it, but I think we should grind our skills. And then I always talk about moving, and I think maybe we should move. So, I would like to grind my skills, which is boring. I know, we'll just make conversation and whatnot. And then I think we're going to find a new town. Interesting that our cooking is nearly to level 3. Normally I don't level cooking very much just because of the nature of cooking. I don't cook that much stuff. Um, let's raise our mechanics, I think. Because if we're going to be living out of this solar vehicle, it would be nice if we could actually control what we're doing with it. Let's examine our vehicle. I don't think there's anything in here. It is empty, so we don't need the wheelbarrow. And we should have some books laying around about mechanics. It is daylight, so let's... I really wish you could read in the dark. Just, like, not even read in the dark. I wish it would display this information in the dark. That way we could very easily see which of these books takes us to mechanics, to our next mechanics skill. But because we can't see that, we would actually have to go through one at a time until we found the right book. Pop mechanics is not going to level us up. And then what's the other one? Under the hood. We don't have one of those, so we may just not have a mechanics book. Let's start a fire so that we'll be able to see our books. Did not mean to pick up 16 splintered wood. We'll drop one of those in the fire, and we will start a fire. That should give us enough light to be able to see here. Okay, we did have under the hood. Why was that not in the list just a minute ago? It's supposed to be an alphabetic. Oh, they're right there. Okay, my mistake. My mistake. So we will read under the hood here to raise our mechanics skill. We're going to stop. We're going to turn off the fire, and we're going to go outside and read in the daylight. That way we're not burning wood. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with my fan. It sounds like it's racking. I don't know if you can hear that or not. Kind of that thumping, knocking noise. So I don't know what to do about that. It did this like a week ago, and I was like, oh man, I need a new fan, and then it stopped, and I thought, oh, everything's fine. And now, of course, as soon as I want to record, the fan is acting up. So might have to go do a little fan shopping on Amazon. I can't wait for wintertime internet. I don't know. I know I bring it up sometimes talking about how I prefer the cold weather, but just cannot wait for wintertime. I would much rather run the space heater, you know, which is more just efficient essentially at heating the room than any of my things are at cooling the room. It seems like no matter what, even with the AC and the fan on, it's always just too dang hot in this room. And it makes it really hard to record, frankly. So let's eat and drink something. Still starting us in the bottom of the eat menu for some reason. I don't know why it's doing that. We've talked about that in a previous episode. I would have thought something as simple as that probably would have been fixed, but it's obviously a low priority, not exactly something that's game breaking, so unsurprisingly that's not a huge priority. So we have biscuits. Are these American biscuits or British biscuits? They have +3 joy, which leads me to believe they might be British biscuits. Let's look at the biscuit description. It shows the description of, there we go, wholesome and filling. This homemade biscuit is pretty good. I believe homemade is one word, or maybe it's a hyphenate, but I don't think it's 2 words. But it doesn't give any explanation as to whether that's an American biscuit. I gotta assume it is. We're taking place in North New England, but at the same time, I don't know why a regular biscuit would give joy. They're also pretty low in the calorie department. I feel like we need to eat something that's pretty calorically dense. We have these uncooked corn dogs. Did we ever skill up enough to make a corn dog? Let's start a fire. I remember us looking, but I don't remember what our outcome was. Corn. Cooked corn dog. Why didn't we make them? We'll make these real quick. Probably not going to be skill enough to level our cooking. I didn't even look at it. They're on the desk here, so we will eat these corn dogs. Delicious. I know a lot of people regard corn dogs as kind of trashy food, and I guess they are. But I gotta be honest, I love a corn dog now and then. Every now and then, I'm into the corn dog. What can I say? Sometimes I roll into the gas station and they've got pre-made food. They have these little plastic or paper sleeves, and they put them in under a heat lamp, and they sit there for probably 20 hours. But sometimes I go in the gas station, I'm like, man, I could really go for a corn dog. And what can I say? Maybe that makes me trashy. I don't know. I did grow up basically white trash, so maybe there's a possibility that is true. But we'll see what happens. I guess as we grow older, people change. What are you gonna do? Let's drop this splintered wood we don't need. We did eat and drink. Took us a long time to drop that splintered wood. Oddly, seems like it dropped them individually, which is a bit strange. Thor Mundy says hello, Thor Mundy. Unfortunately, we are streaming Cataclysm on a Friday, which means I'm directly competing with Vormithrax, or will be when he goes live here probably very shortly. Which I try really hard to avoid doing, but we've had such an kind of a messed up week where I didn't really stream at all that I felt kind of obligated to gotta do something, You can't just sit around and be miserable. You gotta push forward. You gotta push through that, So I know I had something for sewing. Was it a needle? I don't think we had a kit. You don't have it. We have knitting needles. I feel very confident that we had a needle or a sewing kit because I remember us repairing clothing previously. So where's my stuff? What is this? Miscellaneous crap. This is the tool pile. 100% we made something for repairing. Let's look for kit. Or a mess kit. No. I swear we made a needle. I swear we did. A wooden needle. Because I remember asking someone if that would be enough to repair gear, and they said yes. Make a wooden needle. We have so much splintered wood, it's not that big of a deal. Yeah, I suppose I should give some explanation as to why I wasn't around over the last week. Don't really want to go into detail because I don't want it to turn into like me talking about my depression. People generally respond pretty poorly to that. I see we have a little thermometer icon, I assume is what that is. So I guess we are hot here, which makes sense. We're standing next to a fire. Let's activate our needle and see if we can repair some of this gear. So let's just touch on it. We're not going to talk at length about it because it'll snowball into a whole discussion about my depression. Basically had a pretty bad week, and it just streaming felt like a lot of work this week, and I was really torn because it's like on the one hand you have an obligation to your audience that like when you say you're going to be live you should really be there, and on the other hand people are always saying take that mental health day if you need it. So over the last couple of days I just didn't feel up to it. I was afraid that if I went live it would be really nasty and really depressed talk, so I didn't want to do that, so we just did not stream. And I tried to keep people appraised of that on Twitter. At least I was kind of making notes saying, hey, I might not be here, I probably won't be around. So if you didn't get those notices, maybe you should follow me on Twitter. And for the YouTube audience, obviously has basically no impact. We need Lycra for the compression top. We're not going to get any of that, unfortunately. We can fix our socks. I don't think we're going to repair the leather backpack. It just doesn't seem like... I don't think I have been picking up leather clothing. Why don't we make a quick clothing and armor piles? Clothing, just slap it here, it doesn't matter. Armor, slap it here, it doesn't matter. And then we'll add filthy clothing as well, which was here. And then I don't remember where we put armor, so we're not going to do a filthy armor. We'll just sort this out really quick. So yeah, just mental health not doing super well this week, and it felt better to not stream than it did to stream and possibly be having some problems. Okay, Sorry, my OBS looked like there was a bar at the bottom. Sometimes Cataclysm has a bar at the bottom. I don't know what causes that. Anyway, we've repaired our clothing. I think we're going to go back to grinding our mechanic skill. And we'll check for leather gear really quickly. We do have some leather stuff. We'll fix the backpack as well. So let's butcher these. Cut those up. Could not salvage a leather patch. It's a leather skirt. I feel like it probably has more than one patch in it. And by comparison, the chaps have 4 leather patches. So you would think like maybe half of that for a skirt would be appropriate. Let's try to repair our backpack. Can't repair. Great. So tailoring is garbage. Didn't realize it was quite as low as it is. That's fine. We'll drag these patches over here. And we'll go back to reading mechanics for the time being. We have enough backup backpacks and things that we don't need to worry too much about those being destroyed. It is too dark to read. Well, not quite. We can probably read for another 5 or 10 minutes. There we go. And we'll pop inside, start a fire, of course. Is there still wood in here? There's not. So a splintered wood in there. Just realized my sound is cranked way up. Because I hear those crickets. Oh boy, do I hear those crickets. So let's go mechanics here again. There we go. I don't hear the deafening crickets anymore. Oh, so yeah, I spent most of the week just trying to relax, trying to get my head on right, trying to calm down a little bit. I was feeling a little bit spiraling this week. Was definitely bad. I will say I went to therapy on Wednesday. That really helped me out. Sometimes just talking about things is very helpful. I know that people on YouTube and Twitch seems like, the more I talk about my depression, the more it kind of bothers people, because I think they start to realize like I'm a kind of one-note guy who, deals with the same stuff over and over, and people don't want to hear that. They want to hear like, let's have a fun conversation, right? So I think that it gets pretty boring to talk about things over and over. I drank coconut milk by mistake. Great. So I try to avoid mostly talking about it, but verbalizing things really helps, at least for me. I don't know what it's like for most people, but sometimes just saying things out loud really helps me. So going to therapy, and being able to talk in a safe place is really important to me. And one of the recommendations they made was like, hey, do you keep a journal? Do you write things down to kind of get them out of your system? And I said, no, I really don't like journaling very much. But then she also said that one of her coworkers dictates to himself. And as soon as she said that, I was like, yeah, that's the thing for me. Like being able to talk out loud about things really helps. So yeah, I don't know. I think that doing Twitch and stuff is like therapeutic in that regard, where I'm actually able to talk about things that maybe I normally wouldn't talk about. So there's definitely that, but also like, you have to balance that with trying to be entertaining. You don't want to be the same kind of content over and over and over. And I think it's a balance type thing. And I don't know that I'm particularly good at that balance. I think it snowballs sometimes. Like there have been definitely series where talking about that stuff got me in a little trouble, where I was just rambling. No, keep going to sleep, please. You toss and turn, you toss and turn, you toss and turn. You fall asleep. Just like real life. Oh boy. My God, I wish I could turn this fan on. So yeah, I spent the week kind of relaxing and not doing much of anything. And I was really hoping that would calm me down. Maybe the fan needs lubricated. The little fan I used to have, you would have to lubricate the pin sometimes or it would rack. But like, this is all encased. I don't know how I would get in there to lubricate. You probably don't care about my fan. But anyway. So tried relaxing. I watched a ton of YouTube. That's like how I normally unwind. Like some people play games, some people, do sports or go out or whatever. For me, watching YouTube is how I kind of unwind and just relax. So I watched a lot of YouTube. Crusader Kings 3 came out. I played a fair bit of that. Like one day, I swear it's like the most I've ever played a video game in a long time is like is I played for like 6 hours the day Crusader Kings 3 came out. I played it for a long time. I don't even think that game's that good, to be perfectly honest. I think it's a huge step backwards from what Crusader Kings 2 was. And I think they made a lot of the poor choices that I normally think modern games seem to make over and over and over. So, for instance, instead of, if you play Crusader Kings 2, so if you don't know, maybe I shouldn't ramble about a game while I'm playing Cataclysm, but if you don't know, Crusader Kings 2 is kind of is like a grand strategy game where you play a ruler, you play as a single person in the medieval world, and your goal is to, conquer the world or whatever, basically, like any other grand strategy game, basically. And you do this, through war and conquest and whatnot. And like Crusader Kings 2 it has a lot of, do we have a regular gallon jug of water? No. I would really like, do we have any gallon jugs? We don't need the cheap wine. I think we sourced jugs previously. We do have an empty jug, so let's go make some water. So Crusader Kings 2, and like there are events that pop up, and it depends on your culture and your religion, and there's all kinds of stuff to micromanage. It's this huge, expansive game. And I've been playing Crusader Kings 2 in preparation of playing the new one. So I was like, okay, this will be like a fun, new game that I can kind of sink my teeth into, maybe make some content for, whatever. Crusader Kings 2, like, has these, like, lovely painted style art pop-ups. So, like, the game will be like, oh, you got married, your wife is pregnant, and it'll show this, like, it looks hand-drawn, but I'm sure it's probably, like, somebody did it on a computer, and it kind of looks like a painting of, like, a lady with a pregnant belly, and, like, whatever. And it's always the same. It never changes that art asset, but it looks really good because it's kind of this painting style thing. Crusader Kings 3, you can tell they just didn't care about that. They were like, well, we paid to make 3D models for our characters, so why would we pay for art assets on top of that when we can just take a picture of the 3D model? So, like, when your wife gets pregnant, it just shows a picture of your wife, and you're like, it's like the 3D model of your wife, and you're like, okay, like, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Modern games do that kind of stuff all the time, but, like, I miss the artistic, like, painting style pop-ups were really nice. I really actually liked that part of the game. I know it sounds so minimal and, like, it has no consequence whatsoever, but, like, that was a huge turnoff for me when I started to see that everything, like, oh, you imprisoned a character. Well, it just shows the 3D model. Well, you married this character. Well, here's their 3D model. You had a random pop-up about the Pope. Here's a 3D model. And it's like, you could have done what you did before, which had, like, these really beautiful art assets, and you chose not to do that. So that's, like, a major complaint I have. I know it's so small to most people, but to me it was like, that actually really bummed me out. I know, and it just, now that I'm saying it, it just feels like such a small complaint, but it bothers me so much. I don't know. I think I see games do that all the time. The other example is Age of Wonders is a game I've always really liked. And when I was a kid, Age of Wonders, it was the same thing. When you would click on a unit, it would have these beautifully, like, hand-drawn portraits of these units. So, like, the one I remember is because I was, like, 13 and it was cleavage, but, like, the nymph was, like, just a hand-drawn picture of someone, like a female laying down in the grass looking at the camera, basically. The picture for the orc had an orc's angry face, and it was like all hand-drawn stuff that looked really good. And then when they made Age of Wonders 3, they were like, no, we're not doing that. Here's a picture of the 3D model, which is like, I already see the 3D model all the time because I see the units as they move around the battlefield. You're showing me something I've seen 10,000 times instead of taking it and showing me something beautiful and artistic. And it's just really, it's a huge turnoff for me. I don't know. I like sprite work. I like art. I like paintings a lot. So, like, for me, as dumb as that sounds, I don't know. As I'm talking about it, I feel so dumb. Because, like, in Civilization 5, I played a lot of Civ 5. One of my favorite things about that game is that it showed you paintings. So like if you had an artist and he painted a work of art, it would pop up a random work of art from that artist and it would show you the painting. And I really, really liked that. I just think, you know, we do too much with 3D models. I think people overlook how impactful it can be to have an actual like portrait, or and then like the loading screens are these huge paintings in Crusader Kings 3. It's like this huge full screen painting. It's like you wasted that art on a loading screen instead of putting it in the game where people would constantly be seeing these beautiful art assets. I don't know. But that was a huge turnoff for me. The game itself is like really dumbed down from Crusader Kings 2. I've been playing the second game a lot in my free time. I've been running a Viking campaign and it's been a ton of fun. And then playing CK3, it's like they only have 2 start dates. They're missing a lot of the complexity of the second game. A lot of the stuff has been really dumbed down and streamlined for like easy playing, like easy to pick up, easy to learn. CK2 had a real learning curve to it, but that complexity is kind of what made it appealing to me. So, I don't know. I was debating doing a series on CK3, but I actually think that it's not, probably not in the cards. So, what are you going to do? But I picked it up anyway. I bought it. Probably shouldn't have bought it. Apparently it's on Game Pass right now, and you can get Game Pass for like $1. So I kind of wish I'd just played it on Game Pass. But anyway, let's not continue rambling about CK3 because I feel like some people are going to be turned off by... I always feel weird. I do this all the time where I talk about other video games while playing like a different game. So like, oh, we're playing Cataclysm, but I'm talking about CK3 or whatever. And I do think that that turns some people off just based on comments that I've gotten and things. And I get it, you know, you're here for the Cataclysm. But I also think Cataclysm at some point, like people don't, new players don't understand it, but like once you get used to playing Cataclysm, it becomes really, really routine. And you kind of, especially when we're doing stuff like this, where we're just reading books and grinding skills, there's really not a lot going on with the game for me to talk about. So I tend to just pick a topic basically and talk and talk and talk. So if anyone feels slighted by that, I apologize, but just trying to keep the chat going, you know. Dyslexic says, thanks for the opinion, was wondering about the 3. I don't mind, I'm interested in both. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a bad game at all. I just think it's a really dumbed down. And then too, like I only learned to play CK2 like a week ago. I literally just picked up the game like a week before the 3rd game came out. So I'm no expert at all, but like I can see it, and to me it's like really dumbed down and I don't enjoy it. But then on Discord I said that and someone was like, really? Because like I don't understand what I'm doing at all. This is really hard. So I think that, you know, it depends on your personal aptitude and the time that you're willing to spend learning something anyway. So it's like some people I'm sure are going to find it really difficult, but I don't know. I like the second one better. Being a Viking is like super sweet in the second one. Really enjoy that. And then those sort of games I prefer, like CK2 is all about playing as an individual and like forming a dynasty and stuff. I prefer like EU4 where you're playing like a proper country where it's not gonna, there's no succession wars, there's no managing individual members of your dynasty. It's just you're a full country. So I think I prefer that style of game. I also have been interested in their other game, which basically got no traction at all, which was called Sengoku, which is the Japanese, it's kind of like Crusader Kings, but for Japan explicitly, because it's like a period in Japanese history, the whole country, all these warring factions, who's going to unite Japan, blah, 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 etc. I've been taking an interest in that. I didn't know it existed until recently, and I'm debating maybe buying that.